What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Now, we've gotten some interesting news over the last 24 hours. We got Blackrock news, we got China news, we got Japan news, we got news. So we're going to be talking about exactly what's going on from a news perspective. Then, of course, we're going to transition into what is happening with Bitcoin from a fundamental perspective. And then lastly, we're going to look at its chart just to get an idea of where the technicals are at as well. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, my friends, and let's catch up on crypto. Now, guys, don't forget, if you do want to trade some Bitcoin yourself on up to 100x leverage without needing the KYC, meaning you don't give them your personal information, you can use that Margex link down in the description below. You're going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses when you do sign up with my link specifically down there. And the reason why I do personally trade on Margex every day is just due to the fact that I can use several different forms of collateral at my disposal. And so, of course, with that in mind, feel free to check that out. But let's get into the news, baby. So starting off with some news here, what we can see is that Japan public company Metaplanet buys another 106.97 Bitcoin worth 1 billion yuan. Now, roughly, this is ish $6 million, $7 million worth. So we do like to see it. They have been buying pretty consistently, and we've noticed, of course, again, that Japanese area, some more public companies have come out recently, picking up a lot more crypto. Keeping it in the area, China considers issuing up to 6 trillion yuan of bonds to fund aggressive economic stimulus. Guys, you have to understand, the more and more and more that China stimulates their economy, although it does open up doors of opportunity to inflationary issues, and although it does open up opportunities for other issues, if anything will happen, it will cause risk on assets to increase in price. Mostly in China, but it will have worldwide effects. And I do truly believe that the more they stimulate the economy, the more that they add liquidity to their economy, and at the same time open up doors of opportunity for crypto, that we will see this impact the crypto market, and we will see China start to gain more and more market share in the world of crypto, which is only a good thing for crypto in general, at least in my opinion. It feels like they've truly moved on from the crazy bullshit that they were doing in 2020 and 2021 of ban, unban, ban, unban. It actually seems like they're moving in a decent direction. So although I'm skeptical still, it's is a good move in general, at least for the people of China. And of course, we've seen this also translated in Hong Kong. We've seen this translated in Japan. We've even seen this starting to spread a little bit more throughout the region with Korea and South Korea. Of course, we've seen some stuff from Thailand as well. So very, very interesting there. Now, moving a little bit forward into some bigger news. BlackRock, man, BlackRock is doubling down. Not only have they, of course, been leading the charge in terms of ETFs, but it seems like they're now doubling down on that and pushing it even further. They're starting to try to get more clients, more institutions, more people that they're partnering with, working with, etc., to start onboarding digital assets and especially Bitcoin into their own, inner workings and operations as well. And I am going to play you this little audio clip because it's just crazy work, honestly. It just shows the bullishness. Okay, this is Larry Fink on their Q3 2024 earnings call.
Well, first, I'm not sure if either president or other candidate would make a difference. I do believe the utilization of digital assets are going to become more and more of a reality worldwide. Conversations we're having with institutions worldwide, conversations about how should they think about digital assets, what type of asset allocation there should be. I mean, we believe Bitcoin is an asset class in itself. It is an alternative to other commodities like gold. Well, first, I'm not sure if either president or other candidate would make a difference. I do believe the utilization of digital assets are going to become...
restart there. But yeah, so what you can see here is that is Larry Fink going out and saying, look, we're having conversations with other institutions worldwide about allocations in Bitcoin. They believe that Bitcoin in itself is an asset class that can be comparable to other commodities. And they do believe that it is something that is destined to be a part of the future. Now, mind you, BlackRock is one of, if not the most controlling, to some degree, entities in the world. You just got to think about that, right? You just got to think, if they want this thing to do well, it's probably going to do well. They have enough assets under management to buy up the rest of the supply of Bitcoin, if we're being totally honest here. And so because of that, to the grand scheme of things, in my opinion, I mean, where we are with this, it's just destiny that this thing continues to do well, in my opinion, from a long-term macro perspective. They almost can't afford for it to, because what you have to understand is this. When BlackRock goes out and they're talking to other institutions and governmental bodies and things like that about allocations into Bitcoin and how that they can properly, again, add it to their own interworkings, they're putting their reputation on the line. Right? If they go to another institution and they say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what you should do, this is how we can help you, etc., and then Bitcoin fails, Bitcoin goes to 5K or 10K or whatever it may be, understand, BlackRock's credibility and reputation takes generational damage. They can't afford that. And they have enough money. Let me go and see. Let me see. BlackRock AUM. BlackRock currently has about $10 trillion in assets under management. They have enough money to make this thing at least float. They have enough money to stop it from sinking, because Bitcoin's total market cap of Bitcoin's currently at what? Let's see. What are we currently sitting at? Total market cap of crypto in general is at 2.2 trillion. Altcoins are at about 930 billion. So we're probably looking at about 1 trillion, $1.3 trillion for the market cap of Bitcoin. And you don't think that they have enough funds to make this thing float? Sure. Now, we've been seeing not even just BlackRock going crazy. We've been seeing all of these institutions going crazy. Just from October 14th, so yesterday, 80 million of inflows from BlackRock, 230 million from Fidelity. So they've been carrying a lot of weight as well. 70 million from ARC21, 100 from Bitwise, 11 from VanEck, 3 from Valkyrie, 6 from Franklin, 38 from Grayscale. Interesting change of things, and 5 from Grayscale Mini. So what you can see here is not only is BlackRock doubling down, but they're still putting their money where their mouth is, and so are the rest of these. Fidelity been carrying a ridiculous amount of weight recently. Average inflows for Fidelity are now at 52 million, guys. I mean, think about that. Like, they're also doing that, and although they're not so much on the forefront of things, they're not out here talking, consistently making headlines and stuff. They're in the back end buying the shit out of Bitcoin, and the numbers speak for themselves. And so in moments like this, when you do see one of the biggest asset managers in the world going to other people, other partners, corporations, governmental bodies, institutions, telling them this is what we're doing, this is what you should do, this is how we can help you, putting their reputation on the line when they have enough money to make sure that this thing does kind of work, it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore, because think about it. We had a raging bull market in 2021 without all of this. Because quite frankly, we're seeing all of this movement in the crypto market. Retail's not even back yet. Retail's not back yet. I mean, we can Google Trends alone will show that, right? Watch. We go to Google Trends alone. I mean, type in like whatever you want, right? Bitcoin, for example. We look at this. Let's go to the last, 5 years, for example. Okay, look at that. Retail ain't back. Retail don't give a shit, quite frankly. Let's look at crypto. Don't care. They don't care. And so you got to think, we're making all of these money moves right now, crypto market looking all good and stuff, without retail. So what happens when the time comes where they do get FOMO, or retail does get FOMO? That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to take your mind out of what has been for the last, 4 months, right? How it's been shitty and nasty and ugly, because no one liked this. It's been annoying, right? You have to let your mind get past this point and understand what the future still looks like. Because just because this happened doesn't mean that all of these developments in the background aren't still happening. And that's why the door of opportunity is so open. Now, that's your news for the day. Huge developments from your ETFs. BlackRock doubling down, putting their reputation even more on the line. At the same time that China's going out and injecting and possibly considering injecting more and more stimulus into their economy, while Japan and Japanese companies are coming out and starting to open up regulation and buy more and more crypto. It's a perfect brew. And quite frankly, the price of crypto's not really reflecting all of this intrinsic value being added yet, in my opinion. So that just means I still do think crypto is somewhat undervalued, but that's just my personal belief. Now, what's happening from a fundamental perspective? Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. And guys, don't forget, if you have been enjoying this content, if you feel like it's valuable, subscribe to the channel, drop a little like ski. It's always appreciated. It definitely helps out a ton. We're only 2.5 months old, so feel free to join the squad if you'd like. Now, looking at the market from a fundamental perspective, looking at crypto fear and greed, we did finally jump up to greed, and this was a big jump. This was a big jump and a bit of a fast jump, and I will issue a warning. I made a video yesterday explaining to you all, like, hey, you need to be careful right now. This market could pull back at any given point. Here we are. Market has pulled back just a little bit, a tiny little bit today, but whenever you're seeing, it going from a 32 in fear, 3 days neutral, 1 day all the way back up to greed now, on like a middle range of greed, it's definitely a knee-jerk reaction. And in my opinion, I think it definitely does put the market a little bit at risk to some degree, that people are starting to get a little bit overconfident right now. You go look at something like Visual Screener, majority of people are closing their short trades, opening up long trades. And although some people have started closing down their long trades and entering on shorts, which I would say is a good thing, right? Some people are getting a proper reaction right now. They're starting to understand, like, oh shit, we might be running this thing a little too far too fast. Majority of people are still long, and of course that does put things at risk. Now, speaking of course, what's happening there, let's actually go take a quick look at liquidations, because an interesting thing is playing out right now. So what is good is that at least in the short term, we have started to see a bit of an evening out here in long and short liquidations. The amount of longs that'll get liquidated and the amount of shorts that'll get liquidated are somewhat even to some degree, favoring an upside move a little bit. But the problem is that on the 7-day and on the 30-day, we're still seeing a substantial amount of liquidations that will happen if this market moves down. down. And so what that means is that it doesn't mean that, the market's just going to crash. It just means that there is an opportunity and there is a card on the table now for some type of pullback towards, say, $62,000, $63,000, maybe some sort of back test of this previous point of resistance, whatever it may be, right? That is a card that's on the table, and it's something you need to be aware of. That's why in yesterday's video I told you, look, although trading on leverage isn't a bad thing, I think trading on leverage on up to 100x on 100x right now, or 50x, 70x, whatever, I don't think it's a good idea right now, just because there is a risk that we do see this market pull back to the downside. And so of course you need to be understanding of that. Now, from a grander scheme of things, I do continue to believe that this market will continue to move upwards. When I look at this thing from a yearly perspective, the amount of liquidations that we will see if this market does continue to push up into the high 60s, low mid 70s is ridiculous, right? The amount of liquidations, the millions and tens of millions of dollars of liquidations that happen if this market does move up are crazy. And so although it might take a journey to get there, right? And although we might see crypto maybe pull back before we make this move to the upside, I still do believe we're going to get this move up here. Again, it might just be a bumpy ride. And if you're super high on leverage right now, the likelihood is that you're going to get liquidated at some given point due to this variation in the liquidation levels that we're getting on these different time frames. And so because of that, I just do issue the warning. Of course, be very careful, because liquidations to the downside are starting to build up. And we're in a greedy market. And the whole cliche, stereotypical ass thing, of course, buy when people are fearful, sell when they're greedy. And the market moved fast upwards, and now people are getting greedy. So you need to be understanding that this is a moment more of risk than that most people are kind of representing. So definitely be careful of that. I personally am not doing any massive purchases right now. I'm definitely not doing any big purchases or trades on leverage or anything like that. At most 5x, 6x leverage, so I can mitigate that downside risk as much as possible. Because again, in the grand scheme of things, I do believe that we're going to see the crypto market move to the upside here. So why would I risk losing money in this tiny ass little thing that we're in right now? Okay, now looking at this thing from a technical perspective, what you need to be on the lookout for at this given point is what happens, right? I'm still in a sit back and watch era. Realistically, I think between 66,000 and let's go ahead and call it $69,000 roughly, there's so much resistance, whether it's coming from this, whether it's come from what we saw back over here, what we saw back over here, what we saw right here, in these several different instances. The fact that we also have not only just this liquidity of resistance, but we also have this descending level of resistance from the top side of our macro structure, right? Let me get that a little closer for you, right? We're at the top side of this macro structure, and so obviously that's going to play a factor too. We've been rejected not only just once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times off of this. And so of course, as the closer and closer we get to the top side of the structure, the more likely it's going to be that we do see it get forced back to the downside. And so because of that, of course, knowing that we have this resistance here, knowing that we have this liquidity based resistance here, I'm just sitting back and waiting and watching. Are we going to be able to get this breakout? Are we going to see Bitcoin's price clear this range and open up the door to 75,000, to 76,000? Or are we going to get rejected off of this and head back towards the downside to start liquidating some of these people who are getting a little bit too greedy? That's the decision that crypto has to make, and I'm not quite sure. So overall, of course, the grand scheme of things here is that from a macro sense, the news has been absolutely fantastic, and so it does continue to give me bullish conviction that in the long term, we are going to see crypto continue to move up to these higher levels, right? I do think we're going to see Bitcoin hitting that $120,000, $130,000 area at some point, and that is still a beautiful gain from here, and it's not unrealistic, right? If we were to look at this, I mean, to say that a bull market couldn't do something, even if it's like this, right, is ridiculous. That absolutely can happen. And this type of news, this type of movement proves that it is a possibility. But remember, in the short term, people are getting a little bit emotional. Liquidations are starting to build a lot. And so it might be ugly every now and then. So you just need to mitigate risk. And so because of that, of course, I hope you guys are feeling more caught up before you watched this video. Of course, if you guys did enjoy today's quick catch up, you can always let me know again by just liking the video. More people are going to see it. If you drop a comment, more people are also going to see it. And if you subscribe, you'll see more videos. So of course, if you want to do those few things, that'd be amazing. Check out some of the links in the description. I think some of them will be interesting to you, and I can't wait to catch up with you all next time. Peace out, everybody.